Right, petrol heads, today we're diving into the heart of what makes a car tick, torque, and horsepower. Forget the fancy jargon. We're keeping it simple and thrilling, just like a proper joyride. Imagine yourself at the starting line, engine roaring, ready to unleash the beast. That initial burst of power that throws you back in your seat. That's Toka doing its magic, my friends. It's the raw muscle that propels you forward. But what about those times when you're flying down the motorway, engine screaming with pure exhilaration? That, my friends, is horsepower at its finest. It's the relentless force that keeps you glued to your seat as the scenery blurs. Whether you crave neck-snapping acceleration or the thrill of high speeds, understanding torque and horsepower is your ticket to appreciating the true personality of any car. So buckle up and let's unravel these automotive mysteries. Torque, my friends, is the unsung hero of the automotive world. It's the raw twisting force that an engine produces, the oomph that gets your car moving from a standstill. Think of it like this. You're trying to loosen a stubborn bolt. You grab a wrench and apply force to turn it. That twisting force, my friends, is torque in action. Now imagine that wrench is your car's crankshaft and the bolt is the wheels. The engine generates torque to rotate the crankshaft, which in turn spins the wheels and propels your car forward. The more torque an engine produces, the easier it is to get those wheels turning, and the quicker your car can accelerate. So, next time you feel that satisfying surge of power when you hit the accelerator, remember that's torque, the engine's brute force, at work. Don't worry, folks, we're not going all physics class on you here. Calculating torque is actually quite straightforward. The magic formula is torque equals horsepower times 5,252 divided by RPM. RPM stands for revolutions per minute, which is simply a measure of how fast your engine is spinning. Now, I know what you're thinking. Jeremy, why the random 5,252? Well, it has to do with some clever mathematics and the relationship between horsepower, torque, and rotational speed. But for now, just remember that 5,252 is our magic number. So if you have a car with 400 horsepower and it's humming along at 4,000 RPM, you can plug those numbers into the formula and voila, you've got yourself a torque figure. It's that simple. Now, let's talk horsepower, the darling of the automotive world. Horsepower is all about the rate at which work is done, or in simpler terms, how quickly your engine can convert fuel into motion. It's the measure of an engine's ability to sustain high speeds and conquer those long stretches of open road. The concept of horsepower has been around for centuries, believe it or not. It was the brilliant Scottish engineer James Watt who first coined the term to compare the output of steam engines to the power of, you guessed it, horses. Back in the day, horsepower was a measure of how many horses it would take to equal the power output of a machine. Today, it's still the gold standard for measuring an engine's overall performance. Section 5. Unveiling horsepower's formula. Just like with torque, we can calculate horsepower using a simple formula. Horsepower equals torque times RPM divided by 5,252. Yes, you saw that right. Our magic number, 5,252, is back. This formula tells us that horsepower is directly proportional to both torque and RPM. In other words, the more torque your engine produces and the faster it spins, the higher its horsepower. So if you're looking for a car that can reach breathtaking speeds and maintain them effortlessly, you'll want one with plenty of horsepower under the hood. Remember, horsepower is the key to unlocking those exhilarating top speeds. Section 6. Torque versus horsepower. A dynamic duo. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Torque and horsepower aren't rivals. They're more like a dynamic duo, each playing a crucial role in a car's personality. Torque, you see, is all about low end grunt. It's the force that gets you moving from a standstill, that satisfying push you feel when you accelerate from a stoplight. It's also what gives you the pulling power to tow heavy loads or conquer steep hills. Horsepower, on the other hand, is all about high-end performance. It's what allows you to reach and maintain those thrilling top speeds. It's the force that keeps you pinned to your seat as the scenery whizzes by. The key takeaway here is that both torque and horsepower are essential for a well-rounded driving experience. It's all about finding the right balance for your needs and driving style. Section 7. Car model Showdown. Torque and horsepower in action. Right, let's put some real-world metal to the test, shall we? We'll compare three iconic vehicles to see how torque and horsepower shape their personalities on the road. First up, we have the American muscle car icon, the Chevrolet Camaro SS. This beast boasts a whopping 455 pound-feet of torque, giving it that signature neck-snapping acceleration. It's all about raw power and that exhilarating feeling of being pushed back in your seat. Next, we have the sleek and sophisticated Chevrolet Corvette Z06, a true speed demon with a heart-stopping 670 horsepower. This car is built for pure speed and track day domination. It's all about high RPMs and that relentless push towards the red line. Finally, let's not forget about the workhorse of the automotive world, the mighty Ford F-150. This truck is all about torque, with plenty of it on tap, to tow heavy loads and conquer challenging terrain. It's the perfect example of how torque translates to real-world capability. Each of these vehicles excels in different areas thanks to their unique torque and horsepower figures. It all comes down to finding the right balance for your individual needs and driving style. Section 8. Real-world applications. Choosing the right powerhouse. Understanding the difference between torque and horsepower isn't just about bragging rights at the pub, you know. It can actually help you make a more informed decision when choosing your next chariot. If you're after a vehicle for towing, hauling, or tackling hilly terrain, then you'll want a vehicle with plenty of torque. This low-end grunt will give you the pulling power you need to get the job done. On the other hand, if you crave speed and acceleration, then horsepower should be your top priority. A high horsepower car will deliver that exhilarating feeling of being pinned to your seat as the needle climbs. Ultimately, the best choice for you depends on your individual needs and driving style. Section 9. Wrapping up the power play, understanding your ride. So there you have it, petrol heads, torque and horsepower. Two sides of the same automotive coin, each playing a vital role in shaping a car's personality. Torque is your engine's road-twisting force, the muscle behind acceleration and pulling power. Horsepower, on the other hand, is the measure of an engine's ability to sustain high speeds and deliver exhilarating performance. Understanding the interplay between these two forces will give you a deeper appreciation for the cars you drive and the engineering marvels under their hoods. Remember, it's not just about horsepower, it's about finding the right balance of power and performance for your needs. Now go out there and enjoy the open road.